How are you feeling?
I am feeling well. Like, yep, again, you hit it off perfectly. It's just been an immense amount of shock. I mean, you know, we only been in the game what a year, just over a year for you. Like for me, it's been months, and so like I did not anticipate jumping to a program with this caliber and like talking to the people you talk to, especially on Tuesday. Like that was pretty dope. As a Scotch Porter user, like it was cool to talk to the founder of that and like just hear them be so raw with us. And, you know, I was a little taken aback by that and I had my one-on-one with him today. So that was kind of cool too to kind of, really talk to him and, just connect, black man to black man. That was pretty cool, like to hear that and just kind of get that confirmation. I feel like, that we're going in the right direction. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, we can jump into all that fun stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, well, for people who may not know, I'm Liz. For those of you who are like followers of Mashup Card Game, who are, new to this live thing, I'm Liz, the founder of Polk Card Game, the first Black collegiate drinking card game that will give you nostalgia and make you pull up. I'm sure at this point, Danza is tired of hearing my spiel because we've been doing introductions all week in the cohort. I am an alum of the University of Georgia, Go Dogs, national champions, Black SEC alumni, and I think it's super cool how Danza and I got connected. So I want to turn it over to you, Danza, to just introduce yourself. We'll talk a little bit about the game later, but just, talk about where you're based now, what school you rep, and like, even if you want to share like how we got connected because of that SEC connection.
Yeah, so Danza Huey here. I created Mashup. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. And I guess I'll do a little intro for my game. Mashup is a fun card game. This is the first of many card games that I'll be creating, but this is the first one based on Old Maid, which is a game I don't know if you've been playing as a kid, but I played a lot of card games as a kid, and Old Maid was just a fun game we played where one card didn't have a match. So just taking that fun element, bringing in different kind of, drinking pieces. So not taking 10 shots like in POA, but a modest amount of drinks, that you can share around with everybody. So the game mechanics there is pretty fun. And I can get more into the game, but yeah, LSU alum, graduated 2008. Anybody who's younger than that, don't judge me. I don't look my age. So, it's been pretty cool. I think the neat part was that, yeah, we had a mutual like connect, and I think it was kind of crazy how I'm literally had just launched Mashup into the world. I think officially with the website being put out there in September 29th, and then I'm just looking out for people. I'm about just found out I'm going to Village Market. I'm like, oh, let me go see who else is going to Village Market. And then I saw Liz, and I was like, oh, she's like going in here doing her thing. It's a video. She live, like, giving demos for the game and all that stuff. So that was pretty cool. So I just connected on that to Small World. We knew the same person that went to LSU named April. And it was just kind of cool. April is in DC, and it was just like Small World. My friend Warren actually was like, I actually saw her and met her before. I think I saw his name like come through, but like that was kind of neat. It's like, wow, the world really is small. And lo and behold, and I'm just like rooting her on. I'm like, Liz, you got this. Like, you got this piece. You went to Village Market. I'm right behind you. And then a month and some change go by, and we're in the same cohort, and that was pretty insane. Kind of knew she was gonna be in there because when I was about to have my interview, and I just mentioned your name, I mentioned Poa. That was Dana actually. She was like, oh yeah, Poa, yeah, cool, yeah, we're gonna talk to her later this week. And I'm like, this is my interview. I was like, why are you
supposed to say that?
But that's how I kind of, at least whatever you did, with the application, all that stuff. I mean, I'm pretty sure my PowerPoint saved me with just the pitch and like what it is and all that. Our brands resonated with them. So I shared it with you last week when I was like, guess what? But that's when I kind of got the hint that like clearly there's something there. And yeah, it was pretty cool how it just kind of started organically, realized we kind of knew the same people, and then appreciate that, Warren. Like I just like put in the thing, but it's just kind of cool, like how that all kind of happened organically. Then this happened, so not gonna start singing "Meant to Be," but I feel like that's kind of how it went down at this point. Just connect on that front, so that's just pretty cool. Like that whole journey, and this kind of where we're at now. So.
Agreed. I mean, I don't believe in coincidences. I think everything happens for a reason. And I'm not going to lie, because both of us, we talked about how the last cohort had one card game. I was like, dang.
Yep.
They're going to be like that again. And then, you know, mashup, pull-up, I'm like, dang, how is it going to go? Party games, because, of course, you know, SEC alumni, they just got to have a party game.
I felt a little typecasted. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, out of both of the party card games that are in here, I said both of them from the SEC. I was like, well, that speaks volumes. But, you know, very appropriate. But I thought it was kind of funny, too. Yeah.
Well, we're definitely going to get into all of that a little bit later, as much as we're able to share. But first, I wanted to ask, you know, what are you drinking tonight? Or if you were to drink, you know, what's your po-up of choice?
Tonight, I made a gin giblet with Empress gin. So it's purple for LSU. Gold is at the bottom, just to represent. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. I really want to get Uncle Dearest. But as you know, we had a crazy week. And as anybody who knows me, know I like live in the gym, and I only went one time this week. So they're probably going to be like, you skipped the gym the whole week? Yes, because we've been busy. We have been busy. So I meant to go grab that, but now I had some Empress gin here and made a little LSU drink, you know.
I've been meaning to try that gin. I mean, the purple, that's my favorite color, lavender. That is what gets me. So that sounds really good. I am drinking 10-to-1 rum. And Sierra has recently partnered with them as well. And I was like, you know what? I wish I was on a beach somewhere. And I always have mint and stuff in the house. So I made a little mojito. So, you know, po-up.
Oh, right. A little mojito.
Yes. And also, shout out, I see we have a Mississippi State alum in the chat, so representing all the way through SEC. Hey, Brandy from Spill It Card Game. I also saw that Britt from Hella Awkward Card Game joined earlier. Hey, Pixie Spikes Photo Booth, Spikes Booth. Let me know if I'm mispronouncing that, because I hate when people mispronounce the card game name. So please let me know. And thank you to everyone who is joining. So, all right, Danza. So now let's get into it. So just like you said, you launched your card game this year. And so if you had to identify anything, like what do you feel like really helped you stand out in the application process? And actually, like even going back a little further, how did you find out about the Target Forward Founders like opportunity?
So it really was the, you know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It's been phrased so many times, but I honestly say that really was how it happened. So I launched it September 29th last year, like put the website out and kind of made it public because I just kind of ran through it all. Had double jaw surgery before that. And then while I was healing, I'm like, well, I got all this time, you know, shout out to FMLA and, you know, sick leave. So like, I really had time to like, you know, not do my 9 to 5, but kind of turn this to like, let me just, you know, get this idea kind of out there. And I went onto the Target website. I saw the program, but I actually went into the diverse supplier page as if I was already in business for years. And literally, I just shot my shot. I just went in and put everything in there. Like, this is my brand. This is the website, and press send. And then like 2 weeks later, I get an email that's like, here's this program that could be for you. So it felt like somebody out there either saw, you know, the website, saw my brand, probably had realized that I purchased URL like, you know, 2 months prior. So I think they probably saw it was pretty new. Maybe there's something there. And then that's kind of how I heard about it, I guess, in the official sense. I didn't read about it, but with things like that, I was like, oh, I looked at some of the brands, you know, from the first cohort, because they had just got done. Again, I saw only one card game, and I was like, oh, man. I was like, I don't know, but I'm not even going to apply. But when it got sent to me, it made me feel like maybe, you know, somebody saw it at Target and thought it was, hey, this is more of a program for him. So then I just went ahead and applied. At first I wasn't. And then I was like, you know, conveniently the timing, like with Village Market, you know, or Village Retail, I should say, coming through and saying like, hey, we'll give you, you know, my LLC rep, United LLC, we'll give that a shot. I was like, I'm going to give a mashup game. At least I get some presents, kind of put it out there. And yeah, then went to application. I think the PowerPoint, I don't know what you put in your application, but I put like a kind of like a pitch deck, and it was like the best exercise just to try to have it go from like idea to, you know, can this brand have some legs? Like how am I going to talk about it, since they really did push, you know, push people to talk about, you know, your brand and how you're going to pitch it and what does it mean and like what does it mean to you and why did you do it? And, you know, they really want to support, you know, Black-owned businesses and kind of, you know, create generational wealth. So it's like I was having to try to find a way to speak about all of that in the application. And I think the pitch deck, I think, is probably what helped me like the most, because it was a couple, you know, maybe 10 or so slides, but it really made me think about the brands. So like the stuff we're talking about this week, but I didn't think about that before. I just threw it out there and was going to just, you know, have a couple of friends play and, you know, slowly kind of get there. But, you know, the Lord works in mysterious ways. So I guess it was sooner than later. But, yeah, I just went ahead and put it all out there. And then I guess we, you know, found out we were interviewing, which I'll let you talk about that part, because that was kind of insane from that Friday to Monday kind of, you know, sprint. But yeah, that was kind of how the application part went. And then, you know, I will definitely pass it so you can talk about the wildness from that Friday to Monday.
Oh my God.
And how they set us up.
Oh, well, but first of all, like, let's just, you know, give Danza some, you know, drop some flowers, some bombs, some hand claps, some something, because the fact that you, like you said, you were like, look, I'm new, very new, but why not? Like, why not just try? Because like you said, also, at some point you were like, maybe not. Like, maybe I'm not ready. But you never know. And you don't want to kick yourself and say, like, well, dang, I never tried. Or, you know, especially for a business that's so new, if it didn't go the way it did, but thankfully it did, you know, you'd be like, well, I was new. I gave it my shot. And I love how you said, like, look, I'm going to fill out all the application questions, but I'm going to really bring this concept to life for you all through the pitch deck. So just wanted to like, that's amazing. And I think it's really helpful for people to hear that, because I'm sure they're assuming that you have to hit X, Y, and Z mark in order to be considered. And what I'm realizing is that the cohort is full of amazing brands and concepts. And like when they say they're really looking for early startup, early stage companies, they really are. And I feel like you're a testament to that. Because it would be, you know, it would suck if they were like, yeah, early stage programs, but you have to be in business for 4 years, you know? Like the cohort is really representative in terms of how long people have been in business. And you're getting the love, you're getting diamonds, you're getting hand claps. And
I appreciate that. I was seeing that. Yeah, I was like, all right, then I appreciate that. Like,
yes.
So
I'm gonna share my experience as a business, and I'm not gonna act like I'm an old business. Like we just hit our 1-year anniversary in November.
Right.
But I did apply to Target Forward Founders last year, and you know they have cohorts pretty regularly, so I thought it was a year ago, but I guess maybe it was like trying to apply for their first inaugural cohort. And I did not get it. I remember being pretty early in my business. This was when I didn't even have the Pull-Up Card Game name. I was going under another name of Blackout at the time.
Oh yeah.
Putting my things together. I don't know if I really had any friends or anybody review my content. And I like put together a pitch deck, but it was my first time doing it. Didn't really work out. So and how I found out was my friend Asia from college, the same friend who told me that I should make this a card game. She was like, hey, y'all, like you should apply for this Target Forward Founders. And I, up until this point, have never won any grants for my business, anything like, you know, accelerator program, anything like that for my business. I haven't won anything like that. So this is the first time I'm receiving a grant with funding for a Pull-Up Card Game, let alone being able to be a part of like an intensive accelerator program. So super appreciative. But what I did was I was like, look, I did this once. I'm gonna lean my all into it. So went through the application. You know, everybody has that one friend that's like the finesser. Like you go to this friend to review your resumes for jobs. I was like, hey, can you review my application answers? My friend who was roommates for years, Latika from Howard, she reviewed my application. They gave me feedback like, Liz, you know, what are you really trying to say? I did interview prep with them. I did interview prep with my boyfriend. I reached out to this guy. I'm saying this guy, but Brandon Andrews, he helps with diversity recruiting for Shark Tank, but I know him through DC District Running Collective. And, you know, things like that, you're running. You're not really trying to talk to nobody, but you know who they are. So I reached out and I was like, hey, would you mind helping me out with these interview questions? Because I know what I believe about my game, but, you know, there might be things they're looking for that I'm not thinking about. So I was really like going to everybody trying to, you know, really stretch what I was trying to do without overwhelming myself. Because I'm not trying to rehearse verbatim, but I also wanted to be prepared. I didn't include a pitch deck this time. I included, I think, my media kit. And then, yes, found out the news. It was down to, what, 80 people or whatever it was to go into interviews. And I was like, oh, my gosh. So now I want to turn it back over to you so you can talk as much as we can, because we can't share everything, but how the interview experience was for you, as much as you can share.
Yeah,
I mean, hey, April.
Oh yeah, what's
up?
Yeah, and my sister is naturally Tensa is her name, but she joined. Hey sis. But let me explain how they did us, because that's the part that took me out, I think, probably the most. So we found out, you know, the first week of December, like, boom, here you go. They reviewed. I guess in all my nerves is writing stuff down. I put 8. It was 1,300 applications. So it's like, with all these applications, they only picked 80. I'm like, all right, I'm doing my math. Like, okay, my probability to get into this is pretty strong. If they're gonna pick 30, I'm just like going into like data mode. And I was like, all right, we good. So we had our interviews that following week. That was pretty cool. I do like how they gave us a chance to, like, you know, talk to them before we had our that week of interviews. They hit us on a Friday with the end of their interview week. They tell us on Friday, hey, we have additional questions and we can talk to you on Monday. So I'm thinking, and that's when I looked at your website, I thought you were doing what I did that weekend. I found out that Friday, okay, I got Monday, they have additional questions, and I literally tore through and updated the entire website the whole weekend, because I was like, maybe I missed something. I don't know. I went through so much prep. I'm thinking about maybe things I didn't cover. Let me touch more on this, on community piece. So, like, you know, why I should have a seat at the table, even though technically I launched 2.5 months ago. I was just like driving myself wild. And then Monday happened. And they only had one question, which was, how would you like to be part of the cohort? And I'm literally over here sweating, hands getting palmy. I'm having to like bring myself down. So I'm staring at the screen. I don't know how like your interaction was, but I'm just like, I did all this working up over this weekend for this one question. So I was like,
that's what you were really focused on.
I mean, because I was ready to go in. Like, I'm like, all right, look, we only got a little bit of time. Let me just like address everything, cover all the grounds, you know. I don't know if they're gonna hit on like financials. Are they gonna dig deep? You know, like I didn't know what direction they were gonna go. And then, yeah, they only had that one question. And then I guess in the video we saw clearly I freaked out. They showed that moment. So, yeah, and that's when it was it started feeling kind of unreal. And I think this week alone was just like pretty weird to be in the company of who we've been talking to, and the exposure piece and just all of that. So like that's been kind of, you know, cool, you know, just to learn. But I don't know how. I talked to Dana. I don't know, who did you talk to for your on that Monday?
I talked to Lisa, and then I talked to another person who I believe was maybe a supplier or something like that. Honestly, I was so like, I knew it was gonna be what we had like such a short period of time. My usual routine of like writing down names and like emails. So I was just like a whirlwind, but I know for sure Lisa was there. And yeah, I feel like for me, I love how you were using math to reason with like your preparation. I was just like, okay, yeah, whatever. It went down from almost 2,000 to 80, but still, like, I'm freaking out. What happens if, you know, whatever it was. So I was, and even talking to my partner, who, as you know, now went to Morehouse. He was like, what are you talking about? You got this. You need to own this. You need to own this. And I'm like, no, I don't want to jinx it by being overconfident. I was like, I need to stay focused, stay, you know, at no point did I want to say like, I really got this. However, the moment that I did feel like that, even though I would never admit to it because I'm superstitious and thought I would jinx myself, once I like logged on for the interview, had the conversations, hit my talking points, not in a rehearsed way, but just like feeling confident about what I had to say. So much so that I was like, do you guys have any more questions?
And they didn't have any, right?
Anything that I need to expound upon? Like, because it felt like it went so fast. And I did, honestly, afterwards, I felt good about it.
Me too.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, they had no questions. And I was like, kind of bugged out by that because I guess you get trained in like looking for a job, you know, the 9 to 5, like, you know, they're going to have follow-up questions and you got to like on purpose have follow-up questions for them. And then it was a guy that was, I think he was on the buyer side, and he was like, nope, you kind of hit everything. And I was like, is it a good note or a bad note? Like, I didn't really know, but I did get off like, you know what? I did kind of kill this. Like, I mean, I hit all the points. I'm like, community, this, generational wealth, like this was going to hit and blah, blah, blah. And like, I mean, you name it, I had covered it. I was like, Tahaji said, this is a, you know, bachelor's degree in retail. And I was like, that's what I need. Like, I was just coming through all the stuff. And so I did get off like, dang, if I ain't get it, I said, at least I got to this stage and, you know, it gave me some kind of brand validity. I was like, you know, the fact I got to this point, then I was going to lean in no matter what. But then this happened. So now I'm like, I guess we ain't got a choice. So,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. That's a really good point. Like, for those of you who are considering a future cohort, highly recommend, because they are going to have 2 more this year. But what's great about Target is their process. Like, of course, any process, there's going to be some level of ambiguity, like wondering what's going to happen. But they provide you with webinars, interview tips, a whole page of guidance of what to do, terms and stuff. I feel like this is a great example of what it means to be inclusive. So not only to seek diversity and representation across brands, but to provide, I don't want to say supports as if it's a crutch, but like to provide clarity, because this is the whole point. There has been for so long this gap between retailers, you know, going into stores, seeing that you can get on the shelves, but just this in between of like, what do I do to get there? And so I love how they show you throughout the application process, even before you're in the cohort, like this is an example of us trying to set you up for success, not just like a haze where it's like, figure it out yourself, you know, Google it or whatever. It's like, no, here's a page of, you know, some vetted resources, because, you know, when you Google things, 12,000 definitions come up. I also want to shout out Curate 360 on here, which is another, you know, organization opportunity for brands who are looking to get into retail to just help us fill in those gaps. So I wanted to shout out Jessica and the entire team there, Michelle, etc., because I know I signed up after seeing you all on Black Woman Owned a while ago. I also, Danza, I like to at this time just give a shout out to the people who are on the live. So Black Girls Love Starbucks, first one to join, still on here. Love you, Imani. Hella Awkward Cards, Brit, dope, met her in Brooklyn. Amazing card game, well on their way to retail. I know it for sure. Lipstick by Imani. Hey, Tequila Lovers Anonymous, gonna be going live with you soon, so everyone keep an eye out for that. Tensa Chantel, hey, Renaissance Training, Mr. Smith.
What's up, Brandon?
Okay, cousin. April, another person in District Running Collective. My cousin Rachel is on here. It's Tashi Anna. Let me know if I'm mispronouncing that. And then doing the most media. So thank you all for being on here. Danza and I talking about our Black-owned party games, talking about our experience trying to get into the Target Forward Founders cohort, which we were recently accepted to on Tuesday. Woo! Okay, so Danza, what are you hoping to learn? Like, you did all this, you're here, cool, but like, what are you hoping to gain from this experience?
I mean, the biggest piece is really, you know, pulling the curtain back, I guess, on the, you know, the good, bad, and ugly of retail. Like, you know, like you literally said it the best. Like, if you Google how to get into retail. Everything is glossy. It feels like, yeah, I just ship it from over here, and then it pops up on shelf. And then on no, that was on Wednesday. That was this week. It's been flying by. They're talking about planograms, and I said, oh, who? Like, it was like one of those, like, what team is that? Like, I didn't even know these people existed. Like, it was just wild hearing about, like, co-manufacturers and yeah, like, there's a team of people behind this person. This would do with this, and, like, all the SKUs and all the stuff. It's like that's the part that I feel like it's very essential to learn, that unfortunately, like, on Google, funny enough, if you look at it, it gives you a very glossy view. So if you jump into it, you're going to think one thing, and then it's just like, you know, you open your eyes and you're like, wait a minute, there's a lot more to this. And that little diagram, like, just showing like how full and robust, you know, it is to really actually get on shelf at any place in like mass retail. But that was, you know, I'm excited about that part to really, so then I can, you know, we can really start the business plan, you know, to really say, this is how I'm going to approach this. And I kind of go out there and be, you know, going about it a little blindly, and just the connections. Like, I'm really excited about, you know, not just doing the program, but meet all these people, you know, these great folks at Target, you know, at, you know, the buyer side, supplier side, people who just know everything about manufacturing. But after the fact, like, the cool part is that one of my friends, Chantel Emmanuel, like, we did a AmeriCorps program together in New York City. And she already went through an accelerator program. So when you get done, you get a part of this like alumni Slack group, and it's just packed full of people. And the moment she found out on Tuesday, she was like, you won't believe who was all in this Slack group. I mean, it's just so I'm like excited just for the learning, getting done, and for all of us to join like the alum group. Because I mean, there's just so many different people. They've all, like, you know, experienced so much. They have the connections that we need, you know, to really kind of push the brand forward. So all of that, like, just going through it and learning, and then really excited about getting to, you know, the alumni side of things, because yeah, I heard there's some really good connects in there. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And Imani said, from Black Girls Love Starbucks, it seems like this program is providing you guys with a tremendous amount of transparency and information. I love it. Yes. Yeah, I agree. And they let you know up front, like, you know, joining this program, everyone sees retail as gold. And by the end of it, you're going to figure out, like, okay, cool, that's still what I want to do. Or, okay, cool, let me wait. Or, okay, cool, let me stick to this direct to consumer. Like, you're going to learn no matter what you decide to do. But of course, everyone's ideal goal is to get on the shelves. And similarly, Danza, to like what you said, for me, it was about, you know, everyone says, I don't want to know how the sausage gets made. Like, no, I need to know, and what you need to do. This is what you need to do in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, etc. Just a really realistic idea of what it takes. And that's what I appreciated and was looking for.
Yeah, same. Just didn't know it was going to happen this quick, but it was one of those I had to readjust, because I have my own kind of rough 2-3 year plan. This wasn't really a part of it. Now it's like, okay, I think with the connects and everything and the learning, you know, let me squeeze that to a year, you know, like, let's get aggressive. So.
And hey, Latika, I was shouting you out earlier. You're going to have to rewatch this. But like I said, Latika was one of the people so Latika and I were on a cabin trip. And on the way back, I had the laptop up writing out my answers. And I like, okay, here, Latika, here's my laptop. She was in the backseat. Can you review my answers, please? Give me feedback. So talking about, like, you know, birds of a feather flock together. And it's so amazing to have supportive friends. And also, Latika, like, if you've ever seen me at a pop-up market event, a vendor event, Latika has held it down solo when I was out of town. And Latika will be right there with me, like, helping demo the game better than me, closing the sale. I'll be like, yeah, so this is the game. She'd be like, yeah, so $24.99.
Come on, Latika, I'm here for that.
So it's amazing to have a good support system. So Danza, anything else you want to share about Target Forward founders? Oh, maybe, like, you know, any of the other brands that you've connected with, any of the other brands you're excited about in the cohort?
Yeah, I'm there's it's what Ariane, and she's with Look Good, Live Well. I forgot how she said it, but she was one that was in the call. She was like, you know, it's all about melanin. Like she was driving it home, so everybody was like, "Come on, melanin." So like that's cool. Like she's here in Atlanta, so I'm kind of excited to hopefully connect with her and kind of see what we can do in these Atlanta streets to kind of be like, hey, it's two of us here in Atlanta. Like out of 30 total, like, you know, things are kind of happening. She also is in Village Retail, so that was kind of cool. But like, I was like, wait, I actually saw your products in there, and like now we're in the same thing. So like, I do want to,
Oh,
you
so
know,
she's in the Village Retail, and that's a
yeah,
Pond City Market location.
in Pound City Market, yeah. So she's in there. That's
Okay.
what, yeah. It was kind of like I remember seeing like her, there's like a steam facial thing I think she had, and like some other products, and I was like, I saw this box somewhere, and I was like, yeah, she's in Village. She's actually in there right now. So it's just, you know, to kind of figure out that piece, and you know, I'm not on anybody's shelf. I'm just literally direct to customer. So I'm like, it'd be neat to kind of, you know, what does she learn from that? So I'm really excited about that, and her brand, and just kind of being here in Atlanta. Obviously, POA. I mean, I just feel like, you know, there's gonna be a lot there. I feel like it's and the direction it's going, and I mean, everybody's stuff is just so cool. Like I just like the different, you know, I mean, even from the, you know, like somebody taking a, was it a prenatal vitamin or whatever he took and turned into the same, you know, minerals that are in a supposed thing. He, I mean, clearly his wife was like, they're nasty, but then he made it to an actual bar, and I was like, that actually, like, it's neat seeing people who have like, you know, PhDs in chemistry like create stuff like that. You know, that was just like, dang, that's actually like you making it in house right now, and your wife pregnant. So like she just like, yep, it's good. Like she just eat it on camera.
Like,
We
yeah,
just
I
like,
just had it as a snack.
yeah, like it was like that's just cool to kind of just see the creativity of like everybody's stuff just kind of now under, you know, one roof in a sense, and like we get to learn together. So it's like, you know, the cross industry piece, those learnings, like what may be good for them, you know, actually may be good for us, even though it's, you know, beauty, personal care, you know, food and beverage, like that's kind of neat. I do want to try some of, you know, what people are making, and the lady who had like the Indian spice seltzer drink or whatever that was, I was like, that seemed kind of different. So I do want to like try it. It's just so many stuff like different, you know, even products I can like gift to people, you know, that, you know, it's like, hey, it's a good product, I want to support it. So at least it's kind of like that. So, you know, I'm trying to get my money up so I can buy everybody's stuff, and then just kind of gift around, and you know, help get like, you know, customer reviews and like all that. So it's exciting to kind of go through, you know, the journey of trying to build a brand, you know, not solo. Like you like we're kind of in the same boat, literally, like together. So it's like we're gonna figure this out. Some of us are pretty new to it, like you and I. Some had clearly have been around for, you know, doing it for 4 years or so. Like True Scoops, I do want to get that and try that because that's kind of cool. Like making ice cream, you don't need an ice cream maker. Like so, like just hearing like how they go about the stuff. Like that's like what I'm excited about with everybody's brands, and you know, the growth that's going to come since we're doing it at the top of the year. Like it's going to be so fun to see us at the end of this year, like you know, where we're going to be, because we're going to be on shelf somewhere. I'm going to claim that. And you know, this is going to be exciting to see, you know, to start the year off this way and see how it ends. So
I love that. Yeah, and I've already met, because you know, I sit in the cohort program twice a week. I sit where I usually do for work. So there have been some sorors who are like, oh, I see your paddle in the background. So far I know I have two sorors in the group. One from the lab drawer, the other is from like a cleaning, if you will, but all natural cleaning products. So
the North 24.
yes, North 24.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and the other
both
ladies went to
sorors.
Xavier. Yeah, the one of the lab drawer. I think they both went to Xavier in New Orleans, and we had talked about that in like the little swag thing. Yeah. So
Yeah, but I'm glad that, you know, I'm glad that you are who you are. And like you said, because our DM thread shows that when the Village Market ATL thing happened, it was like, oh, hey, good luck, and da 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 da. And then literally like months later, it's like, oh, I think I saw your name in the orientation, and like, oh,
it was
you
your
got your
email. I was like, Dr. Renee. I said, hold on. And I'm doing my sleuth work. I'm like, I think. And I was like, no. I was like, no, I think. because you had a postage and like name it. I was like, no, I think that is an email. So I was like, is this your email? Like, I was like,
if it wasn't, what would you have done? Deleted the comments? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I was like 99% sure at that time. That's why I was like, dang, I think we actually, I was like, 2 Black people with party card games.
Hey, but they're very unique. They're very unique. They're not the same card game. And that's what I want to be able to get into. So some people are tuning in just now. Hey, everyone. I'm Liz, the founder of Pull Up Card Game. And I am joined by Danza, a fellow cohort member in the Target Forward Founders Program. Danza, can you break down like what your party game is? And I know we can't play it on live because it's literally a tabletop game, y'all. Like, you have to play this card game, but you can't necessarily play it like in this, you know, platform of on live. So can you just break down how to play Mashup?
Yeah, so Mashup is literally like, this is the first card game of many. So the cards in there is just like playing Old Maid. So just to mind the mechanics of Old Maid. Come on, Vanna Black. You gotta give a whole a whole spread.
I
so like
love it.
So literally pass out all the cards to all the players that are playing, and then everybody collects their cards, pick them up, and then the whole piece, there's one card in there called the mash card that does not have a match. But then we have different groupings of cards, you know, and I kind of run through some of those. So when you get a match of, you know, in this case, some give 1 card. So if you get 2 of these, you can actually put that match down into the discard pile, which means you can give 1 card to another player. There's other kind of cards in here as well where you have like a pass card. So if you want to have like a water break, you can save this match. And when you get 2 of these, you place it face down. When somebody tries to give you a drink, you can play your pass card and get, you know, pass that drink on to somebody else. There's, you know, you can give 2 cards away in essence to anybody that's playing. There's different cards. Like our shape, these are my Mashup shape cards. You get 2 of these. In this case, if you get, you know, just for example, 2 stars, then you play those 2 in a discard pile. And in this case, you give 2 drinks to 1 person each. So 1 person gets a drink, another person gets a drink. So it's all about sharing the love. Same thing with the classic card shapes. That's these here that we're familiar with, you know, spades and all that. So if you get 2 of those, then you give 1 drink to 1 person when you play that book or that match. And so play continues around to, you know, the whole goal is to get rid of all your cards. The last person that has the mash card is the loser. They have to take 3 drinks, and then you start all over again. So, you know, kind of a game for multiple rounds, or not, depending on what your level, what level you can get to. You can play with shots. I've done that before. You might only last probably 1 round with that, but it's still fun. It does take a while when you have, especially if a big crowd, a lot of people. You can really kind of, it'll just keep going and going around and around. There's also the reverse card as well, which I completely left out. The reverse card is a swap card, so you can swap cards with somebody. So if you end up having a ton of cards, somebody only has like 3 cards left, probably be strategic to play that, or you can hold it to whenever it's your turn. So, you know, some strategy in there. Thank you again, Vanna Black, for giving a little spread. But that's the whole piece with this game. Great. And yeah, and there's more games to come. I'm planning on making a game called Gumbo, which is a mix of war. I Declare War, if you want to call it that, and Egyptian Rat Screw is a game my sister used to play a ton. And there's other games I've never heard of, but doing research about playing card games and games of the past, I kind of want to bring those back to life. And they actually have really cool kind of like game mechanics about how they go about gameplay. But also throwing in kind of the party element and like drinks and other stuff. So can't wait to release those. One is going to be called Soiree. They all have party themes, obviously. And then the other one I want to bring out this spring or in summer is called House Party. So that one's going to be fun too. And that involves you literally almost talking to everybody who's playing. So can't wait to release that one. I think it's going to be fun. Good way to get to know people who, you know, if you're at a house party, you don't know. So that's going to be kind of fun to do. And then in addition to that, all the crazy cards I put into a crazy party pack. So all the swap cards, reverse, the special shapes, all that good stuff. It's a pack full of those. So when you add that to the existing pack, you can end up playing with up to 12 people and a lot more drinks to go around. So that's kind of my initial release. I have a kids version with no alcohol, obviously. So that one is.
You've been in business in September.
Well, look, busy. Look, I'm telling you, shout out to FMLA. It just having sick time, I was able to just get all the stuff out of my head. But the kids version is literally the same kind of gameplay as Old Maid, but they have their cards are really just about giving one card away, giving two away. It's a reverse in there. Then they have a dance and a sing card. So they get two of those. They can play into, pick somebody to sing a song, or they can play two dance cards at one time and have play that match. And then the kids will get like somebody to do a dance, whatever the latest dance is, or, do a wiggle. Kids are weird. I think I've observed them so much, like they would just love to go stand up and do something. So giving them a reason to do so, I think it's going to be great. And so like that's one that's out now. And since that's kind of been taken off, I'm kind of ready to get some feedback on that and kind of, continue to kind of edit and, work on that. So those three are there now and tons more to come because there are a lot of classic card games out there that are kind of, reinvent. So
I love it. And like even hearing you speak about your product, it's clear what your value proposition is in the game space. And I'll say it too, because a lot of card games, including my own, are conversation card games. And it's been a while since we've seen a Black-owned card game grounded in gameplay. The only other that I can really think of is Phase 10, that a lot of people don't even know is Black-owned.
Found that out when I was doing my research, and like that was in 2020. I was like when I originally was like, let me go looking to see what's going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was in the 80s. I was like, dang.
And look at it now. And you know what is also interesting, because as we said, we can't play it on live right now because it's a tabletop game. But we all, the very first time you play Uno, the very first time you play Phase 10, people are explaining it to you. You got to talk through it as you're playing. But once you're in that thing, you're in your groove and you won't let up until all the cards are gone. So I think it's genius. I'm so excited to be in the cohort alongside you. And I love this concept of mashing up old games and like bringing your own spin to it, but also making a version for kids to play. And they're not going to drink, but they'll do a little wiggle and dance.
They're gonna do a little, they got one with a, last to raise their hand, last to stomp their feet. So I got a lot of thoughts.
Yes,
Just get them active, and do stuff that's fun. Last to go touch the wall. Like it's gonna be random stuff. Kids, I was a kid, but we all were kids once. So like I remember those kind of things, it's just like last to do this, last to, so you just getting up, running, doing all that stuff. Parents probably get mad if the kids are upstairs, but they got to run, but I'm going to just lean on it anyway. I think
they'll be in the basement. They'll be outside. It's
so it'll be fun. It'll be fun stuff like that for the kids. I think they'll like to do just to, they have tons of energy. So,
okay.
That's the plan.
Because you are, a fellow cohort member, because you are a fellow Black SEC alum, repping for LSU Tigers, I'm representing for UGA, go Dogs. I'm going to do something different. So typically I'll play a few rounds of Pope card game, the original edition, with people. But it's been a minute since I played our limited edition, which is Tate Time. And I don't know if you know about Tate Time, but Tate Time for UGA is when all the Black people congregate. So maybe kind of like a Market Friday, like, being on the quad or whatever. For us,
we stay in the quad. The quad, we had a whole intersection of this blackness.
Exactly.
Yeah, that just.
And I wanted to be strategic. I was like, I know I can't say UGA on this thing, but I need something for the Black people at UGA to be able to. They'll be like, oh, I know exactly what that is. So because you went to another school, a big state school in the South, LSU, and you are a Black student there, I'm going to pull just a few cards from that edition to ask you. I might switch it up to be relevant to LSU. And then, of course, we'll close out in just a few. And hey, Amber, fellow UGA alum joining. All right, so you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah, let's.
All right, so raise your cup if you've had a Black professor at LSU.
Kids.
Pull up for every Black professor you've had through college.
That's pretty much it.
What did you major in?
In communications.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we had a oh my gosh, what's that class? I had one communications professor. She was black, and then I can't remember drawing a blank on this man's name, but he was like hardcore. Like, I mean, blackity black. He gonna let you know he black. Because everybody else knew the LSU he black. Like, he was just like black. Then he left us and went to go teach at UT in Austin. We were like, bro, how you gonna sit here and sell us out? But it's fine.
You're not.
I was about to say that man's name. It's been so long, but yeah.
So long.
Only two.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one more. We'll do like a few more. Raise your cup if there was a black homecoming king or queen when you were in college. When you specifically were in college.
No. That's a hard no. I think they had one recently. I don't know, but no.
Okay.
We have a black president though now. I can say that.
Okay, it's progress for me. Pull up if you were on the homecoming court.
No. I was a homecoming committee though. Like, I was kind of like one of those kids that was doing all the stuff, all of the things. Like, but I was not on court. I was on a committee though. It was cool.
All right, this is a just messy category. Pull up if you took a class at another school because it was too hard to take at LSU.
Surprisingly, no. Even though like I thought I was about to do that, because they had Baton Rouge Community College, and like people were like, oh yeah, the stats class, and I was like, okay. Because at one point I was a business major, and I switched up because I had a counselor she was pretty good about, like, you know, she was like, hey, look, so if you can't speak too well, like, you know, do public speaking, then you probably gonna have a hard time getting a job. So she convinced me to go into communication. So I kind of swapped, but I was gonna have to end up taking like one of those data analytics classes, and I was like, I'll just go to the RCC, take the easy road out. But I had switched, and then, you know, I guess the rest is history.
I'm not gonna lie. So going to UGA, fortunately, I didn't have to take math there because I placed out of my AP exams in high school barely. Like, I got a 3 out of 5 or something like that. So I was like, thank you. And then the only class I didn't take at UGA was economics. And honestly, who knows? I probably would have been fine like I was with all my other classes. But for whatever reason, economics, everybody was like, do not take it here. So I took it at Georgia Perimeter College that summer.
No, they're not lying. I took econ only the second time. First time I ended up getting a C, which sucked. And, you know, when you like, I was an AP kid, like, you know, come out of high school, it's like, I'm taking physics, AP, and calculus, blah, blah. So you get to college and you're like, wait a minute, I got a C? Like, it was just like, where did this come from? So I took it again, just try to prove a point. I only got a B. But it was still a move up. But yeah, econ undergrad sucked. I'm just going so you were told right. You avoided a massive headache. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's a question I should ask if you've ever not retook, but if you've ever taken a class again.
Yeah, I think a lot of us probably, they won't be honest. They'll say, yeah, they did, because I know I did. Like, just because it was like, you know, let me try to redeem this, you know, just get competitive with yourself. Like, I retook it because it was like, I mean, to be frank, I think without the curves, that C probably would have been something a little more ugly. But I redeemed myself, you know, got a B. It was high. It really wasn't enough to be an A, but, you know, it was cool. It was cool.
That's funny. I mean, one thing I know everybody can drink to is, like, how many times you dropped the class. And I'm seeing TikToks and reels about it nowadays where someone joins a class and the professor's like, yeah, nobody makes an A in my class, or everybody da-da-da. And they're like, okay, that's fine. Thank you.
You're going to see the back of my head. I'm walking out the door.
Thank you. All I need is
hold on.
Ooh,
you got to be real. You got to be strong with your conviction if you're going to drop after the drop date. Because if you pay for the class, and then if somebody did that, then that's a good question too. Because I would want to know, like, who had dropped the class after the drop date? Because, you know, the whole piece is like, let me see if I'm going to drop it or not. I got real close one time of like almost not driving before the drop date, and I was like, dang, this would have been wasted money. Like, I don't know how it was at UGA, but I know like else did, but they had that strong drop date, and you're like, all right, am I gonna just like do it? And just I gotta take this L and take another class next semester and catch up, or that was stressful. Like, I ain't thought about that in a while, but that was pretty stressful.
Yeah, I think the only class I dropped before the drop date was poli-sci, when I thought I wanted to be a poli-sci major, and I had to remind myself where I'm at. I was like, why am I taking political science at the University of Georgia? I mean, nah, all them professors' affiliations. I was like, no. I felt it. I was like, this is not. Nope, it won't be me. It won't be me. Okay. Actually, I think I just inspired my next TikTok. Anyway, and shout out to my partner, or my boyfriend, because he doesn't like when I say partner. Ivan. He joined, but he may have dropped off. I don't know, because he's supposed to be driving back home with some food from Jasper. So we'll see. Okay, so I'm gonna do just one more question. Okay, so name the hangout spot for Black students at LSU.
Definitely the number one spot was the quad, and that was right when you walked in. We took up all four of the benches, primarily two close to the library, and that's where we'll be at. So it was kind of like a cool, in between class, all that. You would just see people hanging out. I will say, albeit Hurricane Katrina was like horrible, we had the most number of Black people at LSU that semester, like ever. And it was just like everybody getting to know everybody and all that. So like the quad had turned into like a whole scene. It was insane. Like I ain't never seen it like that. I mean, now I think with the numbers that since it's increased a lot, and we have a lot more brown students at LSU. Supposedly the quad is like a whole scene, but I was there back in the day. It was like, so that was pretty impactful. Like anybody who went to LSU during that time will let you know. At that time, that was the blackest that school ever was, and it was just people everywhere from Dillard, Xavier, all the Black kids from Loyola, Tulane, like they were just right there. And a lot of them actually stayed, which was pretty cool because I guess they had one thought about it, and they got there and they, had fun. But yeah, the quad, miss those times.
So my last question of the night, because I know it's been a long week for us both, is how can we support? Well, actually, I have two questions. One might be obvious. So the first is, what's one success you'd like to pull up to about Mashup Card Game, your entire experience from September to not even the end of January? What's one thing you'd like to pull up to? What's one success?
Doing this program. I mean, I guess having, it's one thing to have like an idea and then, you tell yourself you believe you have a brand, but then, it's another thing to like, put it out there to people who work at, one of the most identifiable like mass retailers like in this country. And you like qualify. So like, I mean, it's kind of been a wild ride. So to that piece and this whole journey so far, it's definitely this program. Like, and hearing from the founder of Scotch Porter, like, letting me know, like, yeah, we reviewed you. Like, he was like, no, you have a reason to be here. Like, you look at everybody's stuff. And that was in the one-on-one. I was sitting here like.
Also, the founders in residence also reviewed things.
I didn't know that because I
didn't know that either.
Because I was being vulnerable, just I guess to be transparent. I was just like, I don't really know. I was like, I mean, I'm here, but like it just started September, like blah blah. He was like, no, we looked at it. He's like, you deserve to be here. So hearing that, like literally today at like 5 o'clock was probably the biggest thing I could say at this moment. Can sit here and say like from Mashup, like that was pretty cool to have, to have that one-on-one time with him, but also like to hear that kind of confirmation was just like, okay, so I do deserve to be here. I mean, like I'm in it, but it's also kind of cool to hear from, somebody who clearly has had great success so far. So that's what I'm gonna raise and pull up to because, this has been a hell of a week.
It's been a hell of a week. It's like so many positive vibes, but overstimulation at the same time.
Yeah, that's good. Yep.
Overwhelming gratitude. Shout out to Dr. Toya Howard, alum of By Default, in the chat. And hey, Naturally Tensa, hey to everybody that stayed this entire hour. I promise this is my very last question for Danza. How can we support you in an intentional way? Like, what is one intentional way that we can support Mashup Card Game? I always like to say, everyone who's tuned in, I hope purchasing Mashup is a given. I hope following Mashup Card Game is a given. But what is an intentional way that we can support your brand at this time?
Feedback. It is. I'm so early in the game, and have a ton to learn. You know, like just with, you know, how the game plays, or just like updates on, you know, the instructions. I guess just to be frank, that's why my instructions are online and I don't have an instruction book. One, because who reads instruction books? It's kind of a waste of paper. Two, I can make tweaks. You know, I can change, like if there's something that's just like not being read well, and, you know, with instructions, I need that feedback in order to, you know, continue to kind of build and kind of also see, you know, what's really, you know, resonating with, you know, customers, people who are playing it. Or maybe they're like, oh, we had this, but it would be cool if we had this kind of card, you know. And that's kind of how it got to where it is today. Like just sitting around thinking, when I released it, it only had like a handful of cards, and I was like, oh, let me throw the reverse in, and, you know, for getting feedback, and like I thought a swap card, like, you know, just certain things to kind of bring it to where it is now. It was like a first edition, but there's always room to grow. So like that would really be beneficial, especially being it so early. Like feedback, please give me feedback. I have a contact form or website at mashupcards.com, and just, I mean, if it's any kind of feedback, like I'm open to take it, good or bad, because I just feel like you just learn from, you know, in and out feedback. So that's the biggest way to help me, especially right now.
I felt that feedback. Well, Danza, I've loved talking to you. I know we've touched base before the cohort, but sending you positive vibes. If you want to do homework together at any point, let me know. I know we're both solopreneurs holding it down for our companies.
Right, everybody was a we. Remember that?
Yeah, I was like, woo, yeah, we speak, but we know it's me.
I'm like, we at Mashup, but I'm like, it's just me and that's it.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your feedback, but no, I'm going to let you go. I hope you're able to catch up on all your Tuesday and Wednesday TV shows you have not been able to watch all week. And we're about to do this thing. You know, we got this 8-week intensive cohort. I'm gonna lean into what Ivan said. Y'all, we did that. We did that. It's me season, as Issa would say. Lean into it.
Oh, we miss Issa. Yeah, it's still pretty surreal, but yeah, we just leaning in. We just got to go ahead and get it. But thank you so much for having me. Like, I've seen the other ones. Like, it's pretty cool to kind of jump on, and, you know, I like the energy with it, so it's pretty cool. So yeah, and I guess I will see you on Tuesday after we do all this work we got to do this week.
After we do all this work.
That's part about it. We didn't tell you about that, but we got a lot to do. So.
We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to put in, but it's going to be worth it. All right, Danza, I'll talk to you later. Have a good night. Right. Thank you for joining.
Appreciate everybody for joining.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.